Hi.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for joining us for lesson number
55.
5.
Here we go. Number 1. I am determined to see things differently. What I see now are but signs of disease, disaster, and death. This cannot be what God created for his beloved Son. The very fact that I see such things is proof that I do not understand God. Therefore, I also do not understand his Son. What I see tells me that I do not know who I am. I am determined to see the witnesses to the truth in me rather than those which show me an illusion of myself.
You know, what's just come to me then is, and I went through this too when I first began the course, was that how much through the ego we try and reconcile the ego and all of its chaos in the dream, disease, disaster, loss, death.
Mm-hmm.
And we bring God into it. We try and reconcile the two,
Yep.
chaos and God, death and God, disease and God, right? And what he's teaching us here is, again, more of the positive separation. Yeah.
So the body's senses are programmed. If I am separate, I am guilty. And what my mind believes is what I'm experiencing, then because none of my thoughts are neutral, if I am guilty, then I'm going to be attracting all sorts of fearful images. So I'm actually sending my eyes to find imagery to witness back to me that I am guilty. So the world's going to be on full on attack because I'm guilty and I'm expecting punishment. So the world just checks in and depending on what we believe about ourselves, what we want to be true about ourselves, it feeds us back these witnesses. Yes, Coreen, you're right about yourself. If you were innocent, you wouldn't be having this lack problem right now, right? Okay, so when I am willing to drop all the beliefs about myself, recognize its total insanity, realize the separation's an impossibility because God does not create an insane world, now I'm willing to allow those witnesses to show up in my experience that testify to my innocence. So where lack was before, I will find an ease and abundance. Where there was pain, I will be free of pain. My inharmonious relationships will become harmonized. So those are the witnesses now that come back and tell me that you are innocent, one with God, you feel the atonement, right? So those are the witnesses that Jesus talks to with about throughout the course. The symbols that come back to us to affirm what we first believe about ourselves. Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Thanks, sis. Okay, anything else? Pause.
No, lesson 55. Now we're on number 2. Yeah.
What I see is a form of vengeance.
Ooh.
The world I see is hardly the representation of loving thoughts. It is a picture of attack on everything and by everything. It is anything but a reflection of the love of God and the love of his Son. It is my own attack thoughts which give rise to this picture. My loving thoughts will save me from this perception of the world and give me the peace God intended me to have.
What he's saying here is the world we see is a picture of attack on everything, by everything. The first thing that came to me was Mother Nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think he means there? Huh?
About Mother Nature? The laws of Mother Nature?
Mm-hmm.
She can be a beast.
Aren't they wonderful?
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I'm being very naughty.
That's okay. Yes, decay and ultimate change and death and decay. Yes.
But, yeah. It's all about death, isn't it? Everything feeds on everything else in the food chain.
Oh, I see. Yes, absolutely.
The
Yes.
laws,
Circle of life.
it's not the laws of life, it's a law of death
Mhm.
and the law of devouring.
Yeah, only the fittest survive. Yeah,
And then the four seasons of nature.
right. Yeah. And the seasons of mankind.
Ooh,
Yep.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to give up our attack thoughts and ask them to be replaced by loving thoughts, which bring the peace of God. And that was God's will for us. Number 3, I can escape from the world by giving up attack thoughts. Herein lies my salvation and nowhere else. Okay, that's key.
Yeah.
Our salvation lies in giving up attack thoughts and nowhere else. What is he pointing to there, sis? That's the go ahead.
It's a neon sign, isn't it?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's my attack thoughts that show me an attacking world.
Mhm.
So if I want to be free of an attacking world, I have to give up my attack thoughts, right?
That's right.
Well, I have to forgive them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give them up by through forgiveness. And the key for me was like nowhere else. Your salvation does not lie in working 2 jobs. Your salvation does not lie in marital counseling. Your salvation does not lie in having 2 children in a 2-car garage. I mean, your salvation lies in giving up attack thoughts and not external in the world. But the whole world says your salvation lies in manipulating the outer conditions, but those are the result of our thoughts. So our salvation is by giving up attack thoughts in our mind and nowhere else. Without attack thoughts, I could not see a world of attack. As forgiveness allows love to return to my awareness, I will see a world of peace and safety and joy. And it is this I choose to see in place of what I look on now. There it is, isn't it? The choice.
Yeah. And it's, I don't want to go too deeply into this, but it is worth mentioning
Yeah.
that, our holiness, our incorruptible innocence, in order to embody that and anchor that, ground that in our being, we've got to give up or we've got to forgive all of our attack thoughts. Otherwise, we're not going to know we're innocent. And while we still believe unconsciously that we're guilty, we're going to still expect, anticipate, um, attack. In other words, punishment.
Right.
Sickness in the body, relationship conflict, deprivation, all kinds of stuff, right?
Yes. Yes. As long as we think we're separate, we're guilty, we project it out in forms of attack. Is this getting clearer, you guys? This whole thing about separation, guilt gives rise to fear and guilt, and then that's projected out there onto images, and then it comes back to attack us, and then we defend ourselves against those imaginary attacks.
I think I'll get it soon.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep hammering this, and it'll dawn. The penny will drop. Oh, okay. Thanks, guys. Okay. 4. I do not perceive my own best interests. How could I recognize my own best interests when I do not know who I am? Great question. What I think are my best interests would merely bind me closer to the world of illusions. I am willing to follow the guide God has given me to find out what my real best interests are, recognizing that I cannot perceive them by myself.
And that's the Holy Spirit.
That's right. That's the guide that God has given us. And when we're willing, in that surrender and in humility, I thought I knew who I was. I thought I knew what everything was for. I thought I had a past. I thought I am mythical me. I'm willing to see it differently. I'm willing to accept that I don't know, and I'm willing to ask this guide that God has given us to show us what our best interests are. I don't know what I am. Anything else, sis?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And finally, I do not know what anything is for. Here we go. Seems like we did a full circle. To me, the purpose of everything is to prove that my illusions about myself are real. It is for this that I attempt to use everyone and everything. It is this that I believe the world is for. Therefore, I do not recognize its real purpose. The purpose I have given the world has led to a frightening picture of it. Let me open my mind to its real purpose by withdrawing the one I have given it and learning the truth about it.
Okay, can I just add something here? Only because, like I said earlier, I did a bit of a bypass when I first went through the lessons all those years ago. The sentence he says, number 6 sentence, is the purpose I have given the world has led to a frightening picture of it. I would like to add the purpose I have given to the body and the world has led to a frightening picture of them.
Yes.
Otherwise, through the ego, we tend again to compartmentalize the body. Body and the world are one. They're both being projected from the mind. So let me open my mind to the body and world's real purpose by withdrawing the one I have given it and learning the truth about it.
Yeah,
Because
right.
we also want to try and introduce that we're not just repurposing the world, we're actually divinely repurposing the body and what we use the body for. This is huge. And most course students and some teachers even don't really recognize how crucial this is. Thanks, sis.
Thank you. It almost feels to me like an insight that not willing to do what you're just pointing to is a way that that death protects itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as long as I'm just repurposing and healing everything that I'm seeing, but I'm not willing to include the body in it, is a great way to protect body identification. And again, I won't show you the diagram, but we all know that the end of that body is certain death. But if you're willing to come back even further to the level of just the mind and everything that's projected from that mind, which includes your body, and allow that to be reinterpreted by your guide, by Holy Spirit, right? Then you will be given the gift to know that that body is an image in your mind and that you are not a soul trapped in the body.
Okay, so it is an image in the mind. But let me clarify here, it's not an image in the brain, because the brain is a body part.
Yes.
And totally meaningless, by the way. Right.
Can you imagine?
And neutral, and it's neutral. Yeah. So, that lesson is, I do not know what anything is for. So in that, if we're to breathe this lesson in deeply, we can also add, I do not know what this body is for.
That's right.
And in that, if we really consent to that, what we're doing is we're giving Holy Spirit permission to replace what we think the body is for, which is for attack.
Yes.
Even while we think independently apart from God, we're seeking pleasure through the body, or unconsciously seeking pain. It's both. It's pleasure and pain are one, as we said before. It's all attack, right? So we're using it to separate from God, from our brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
from our holy self.
Sleep.
So we're asking Holy Spirit to reinterpret what the body is for. So, so big.
And there's somebody that's going to watch, that's watching this, and the question has arisen. I don't understand what you mean when you say that pleasure and pain are the same. And recall that the ego require, well, let me back up.
Yeah.
Seeking pleasure apart from God. In the dream, in the gap, there seems to be a whole lot of symbols of good. Like sexual pleasure being one of the highest good things in the gap, right? Food.
Yeah.
Doing, addictions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
There's a pile of stuff that we do without Holy Spirit.
Right. Now, the part of our mind that's not insane, there's a part of us that knows the truth about us, what we are, whose we are. So while we do anything apart from God, that act in itself is the reason we feel guilty. So even if in the gap, in the dream, it seems like a good thing, if we're not doing that good thing, we're not seeking that good thing, we're not seeking pleasure through God, we're doing it independently of God, even though the ego says, hey, this is great, if it's not being done with God, it results in guilt.
So it's a guilt magnet.
It is a guilt magnet, pleasure or pain. Anything that we do through an independent will results in guilt. That's the answer I'm going to do. Yeah.
Thank you. Well explained. Yeah. And that's why, it's not to feel guilty about feeling guilty.
Don't you feel guilty about feeling guilty now you hear? Oh,
Both Coreen and I have done that trip for many, many, many years.
Only the ego feels guilty. Only guilt only exists within an ego thought system. So that's it. That's that substitute mind for God. And that's not our mind. Remember, we share the thoughts with God. So we can do the positive separation. That isn't me. I'm not an ego. I don't think with the ego thought system. I just have to make that positive separation. I'm at home in God and I have the mind of God and I'm receiving the thoughts of God. And when I stop defending it by thinking I'm an ego, I will be in communion with God. Yeah. No guilt there. Just make a different decision. I'm not that. I'm ready to admit I'm not Coreen. I am the Christ. And I'm going to use this thing that looks like Coreen, sounds like Coreen, only as a communication device. I will no longer use this as this is me, this is my house, this is proof of my separation. I'm just going to let what I am come through these hands, this mouth, this body.
Beautiful. And Holy Spirit's right there to help us with that correction in our mind anytime.
Yes.
Right there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So are you willing to say, I do not know what anything is for, including this body? Yeah. All right.
So I think we're done with lesson 50. What was that? Lesson 55?
55.
Yeah. So wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you for lesson 56.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.